All right, so hello and welcome to Math 126, which is Applied Statistics. This first video is just an intro video for the course, and just kind of an overview of what the course is all about, and but mostly to give you a sense of how to get yourself sort of set up and running with the course. So I'll show you where to go to purchase the online textbook, where you're going to complete homework, and our Canvas page as well. So which maybe I'll flip over to. So our Canvas page is here, which is of course where you're watching this video. And then the syllabus, which I'm going to sort of use as the template, is the first link right here. So if you click on that, if you want to sort of follow along, it's not necessary. But here's the syllabus for our course. I should say, oh, hi. I should say, my name is Mike Deal, and I'm a professor in the Math and Computer Science department here at Endicott. I think it will be my 11th year as a professor here at Endicott, and I've taught this class in person many times and online probably about 10 times or so, and so hopefully most of the kinks have been worked out, and the version of this class that you guys will hopefully get should be pretty smooth. I hope so anyway. My office, I am here, of course, during the semester, teaching my day school courses. I teach Monday, actually, I think I teach every day this semester. So anyway, I'm generally on campus, maybe not quite 9 to 5, but during somewhat reasonable business hours most days. So if ever you are on campus or have an occasion to meet me in person, my office is in the Life Science and Business building, which is across from the Callahan in 115. But probably I will not see most of you in person. And also don't call me, even though, of course, I have an office telephone number. Please just send me an email if you have really anything, any questions or correspondence or whatever you want to let me know about. Just email, please. In terms of office hours or extra help and things like that, email is also good for that. If you are on campus, I know some of you are possibly here, possibly in Beverly, or in the North Shore area. Either you're day students that are in class all day, or you're at least in the area. If we do decide to meet in person, we'd probably set that up via email anyway. So I don't have any formal office hours posted, but just send me an email if you need anything. So the course, like I said, is Math 126. It's a 3-credit course. This is fully online, and our dates for this semester are September 6th through Halloween, through October 31st, which will, roughly speaking, be about 8 weeks. Which should be plenty of time to cover this material. Here's a catalog description, which basically should just read Introduction to Statistics, because that's what the class is all about. Here's a hourly outline thingy that I'm just going to scroll right past, and learning outcomes. Hopefully you'll learn some things, so we'll just scroll past that too and get to the more important things. For the course, there is an ebook, a textbook that's online, or an electronic textbook that we'll be using, that's bundled with the online homework system. The whole product is called My Stat Lab, is the publisher, I guess you would say, for both items. So when you purchase access, this is all bundled together, so you don't have to buy a book and then also buy homework access. There is no physical book to buy. I suppose there is a paper version or a hard copy version of this textbook. Here's the title of the textbook, but you're going to just purchase an access code that's going to give you both the ebook and the homework management system. So, and it's about $100. I don't know exactly what the price is. They probably change it a little bit every semester, but it's about $100, which is not too bad, I don't think, for both things, and that's all you need to purchase. I'll flip over to again, this is called My Stat Lab. I'll flip over to that in a second after I go through the syllabus to show you what the website looks like, and there are detailed instructions for how to purchase access to my stat lab. So you shouldn't be a huge problem. Other things, though, for the course that you should have, we'll be using Microsoft Excel to do pretty much all of our computations. It's a pretty standard, sort of business product or just sort of everyday product. There are better statistical softwares, but Microsoft Excel is pretty user friendly, and my hope is that most of you have access to a computer that has Excel already installed. It's pretty standard for Microsoft Office package that most computers or many computers have. So hopefully you have access to Excel. If you don't have it on your home computer or laptop, maybe you have access to it at work that you could finagle. The library, I will say, both the Endicott library has it installed on all of its machines, and any other library that you might go to probably also has it on their machines. So anyway, seek it out. If you do need to purchase it, I believe it also is approximately $100. You do need it. I would say, technically you can get by without it, but you're going to be doing 5 times as much work as everybody else trying to do everything on a calculator. So I'll always give you sort of tutorials or show you how to do things in Excel, and I won't really go through how to do them any other way. So yeah, so please get your hands on Excel if you don't already have it. The only caution I'll just say is that I maybe it was last year I had a student who bought Excel or had Excel on an iPad or some sort of touch device, and it didn't work so well because you need to sort of be able to highlight and drag or click and drag, which you can do pretty easily with a mouse or with a trackpad, but it's tougher to do on an iPad or those sorts of devices. So if you're going to buy it, especially buy a computer version for a laptop, and it doesn't matter whether you have a Mac or a Windows machine. I'm on a Mac, as you can probably tell, and will be in all the videos. But the Excel version for Windows is very, very similar. Things are there's a slight different appearance, and things are maybe in a slightly different place, but it's very, very similar. So you shouldn't have too many problems. If you do, or as always, if you ever have any questions, just send me an email. The other thing you might want is just a regular old calculator. You could use the calculator probably on your cell phone is probably good enough, just for some simple computations that you might sometimes do. You can do everything in Excel, but sometimes it's just easier to bust out a calculator and do a couple quick divisions or multiplications on that rather than using Excel. The lectures will all be in Canvas. So there's Canvas videos that are YouTube videos that are linked, or I should say are linked to YouTube videos that you can watch right in Canvas. If you've taken online classes before, which I think most of you probably have, it plays pretty seamlessly right in Canvas, but it does have the sort of YouTube toolbar, I guess, at the bottom. So you would be able to, for example, watch, enlarge the videos, full screen, captioning if you like or require captioning. You should be able to just sort of turn that on, and there should be captioning, stuff like that. The videos are all, like I said, will be in Canvas, and there are at least a couple of, sometimes more than a couple, videos per week or per unit, I guess you could say. And each of them they vary in length. I don't think any of them they're probably all about between 30 and 60 minutes. So maybe a little bit longer for some of the longest ones. So it's a commitment, I rather than making a million 10-minute videos, I tried to sort of make them more like class periods, which might be more like an hour. But feel free, obviously, to view them any way you'd like to view them. So I'll show you that when I get over to Canvas, just a preview, though, of those things. Grades, of course, are important. It's a pretty simple formula, I guess, for your grade. You'll be taking a midterm and a final, and those will be 40% each. And you'll have a homework grade that's your weekly assignments, and that'll make up the other 20%. So it is true that a lot of the grade, of course, is based on your exams, and I know That's sometimes can be stressful, and I certainly I certainly understand that. But I think if you do the right preparation as you're doing your weekly assignments, you should find yourself comfortable to do the exams. And even though they are worth a good portion of your grade, you should find that yourself familiar, or at least hopefully reasonably well prepared for them by the weekly assignments and practice problems and etc. So anyway, homework, as I mentioned, will be in my stat lab. And this will be where you go to, again, complete all of your homework assignments. The questions are in various formats, and the exams will be sort of in the same vein. That some of them will be multiple choice or true/false type questions, and other questions will be numerical solutions. In other words, you're going to type in 0.63 or something as your answer. Generally speaking, those are the harder questions, probably, where you have to come up with an answer, a numerical answer, which of course could be anything, versus just choosing A, B, C, or D if it's a multiple choice question. So do take your time with these, with the homework problems. There maybe, I would say on average, there's about 15 to 20 maybe homework problems per week. Some weeks are a little shorter or easier than others, but so it will take you some time. It will take you several hours, maybe even more, like 5, 6, 7 hours sometimes to complete a homework assignment. One good thing I will say about the homework system is that you are allowed to redo problems, and you'll immediately see this, and I'll show you this when we go over there. If you answer a question, let's say it's a question that's asking you to compute something, so your answer is going to be a number. You answer it once and you get it wrong. You can hit something, I forget what it says, something like, check my answer or something like that. It's basically saying, it's your first shot at getting the question right. If it's right, it'll say correct, and, you can move on to the next question. If it's wrong, you'll often get sort of a hint or some sort of little, I don't know, reminder, I guess is a good way to put it. Sometimes those are helpful. Sometimes, to be honest, they're not. But you will get another chance at the problem, that they've given you some sort of hint. So maybe you can get it right a second time. So, so try it again. Obviously, if you get it right, you still get credit. Now, if you sort of exhaust, now some of the problems, it varies depending on the type of problem, but you'll get at least 1 second chance generally built into the question. Now, let's say you exhaust all your chances, because it's a numerical answer, and you try 7, and then you try 8 and 9, and it says, okay, that's wrong. The answer is 10, okay, or whatever it might be. Now, at that moment, you'll have gotten the problem marked wrong. In other words, you'll have received, no credit, or 0, I guess, for that particular problem. Now, one thing, though, that you can always do for any problem, and you don't have to do it right away, you can do it later, you can go in the next day and retry problems, is that there's going to be an option to hit similar problem or something like that in the lower right corner of each question. And basically what the homework system does is it generates a new question. It's basically the same question, but they change the numbers around a little bit. And then you get a whole nother chance to do it. So there really is no reason to not get 100 on the homeworks, within reason, obviously. Sometimes you're going to maybe get completely stuck, and no matter how many times you try, it's not going to work. But the homework is not high stakes like a test where you have to get it right the first time or even the second time. You can keep trying these problems, and I encourage you to do that. Now, I will give a big disclaimer here, and this is probably the most important thing I say in this whole boring video. When you're redoing problems, one thing you should really, really do yourself a favor and keep track of. First of all, you should be taking notes. So when you're watching the lecture videos, I would take notes the same way that I would if I was in an in-person class with a notebook and, things that seem important or whatever's on the screen, I would write down or at least sort of try to summarize in my own words. So you should have notes just like you would for a regular class. Now, when you go to do homework problems, I think you should do them on paper, like you probably did for many, many years in math classes. And when you get questions wrong, and I would do this in a notebook, when you get questions wrong, it's very, very important for you to figure out, and you can always ask me, but figure out why you got the problem wrong. Now, that might come from that you just made a silly mistake. Okay, no big deal. It might come from that, you tried it once or twice, and then maybe with the hints, or maybe you looked something up, and then you were like, oh, duh, I do it this other way. And then you try it this other way, and you get it right. That's great. But what I will tell you is going to save you many, points on an exam, is to leave yourself notes. Let's say you do a problem 3 times. The first time, you write down whatever you write down, you get it wrong. Second time you write down whatever you get it wrong. Third time you finally get it right. What you should really be doing is leaving yourself a note in sort of the margin or somewhere on your page that says, you got it wrong twice, because the first time you didn't realize that the question was asking blah, blah, blah. And the second time you got it wrong because you used the wrong Excel command. And then the third time I got it right because I blah, 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 whatever, sort of made this make sense to you. I know it sounds silly to do that, but to be honest, I think the biggest problem that people have is that they get the homework questions right eventually, but they do it in many ways by guessing and checking. And that's not good. I mean, maybe to an extent you might find yourself doing that, but I would be really, really nervous about relying on always having many, many chances. On the exams, you have 1 chance at each question, and that's it. So if you're finding yourself redoing problems many, many times, that's okay, but just make sure that by the time you get it right, you understand why your correct answer is correct and why all of your wrong answers are wrong. And that does take time, and it's much easier to just move on to the next problem and say, I just want to get the points for this homework assignment and be done with it. And that's a really bad recipe for success. And I'll just, again, many times that I've taught this class, the most common complaint I get is, I got all the homework questions right, and then I didn't know what to do on the exams. And the answer 99 times out of 100 is, well, you got the homework problems right, but you had no idea what you were actually doing. You were just sort of guessing and retrying them until you got the points for that. And so on the exam, that didn't work. So I really, really just sort of want to, if I say nothing else, or if you remember nothing else from this really boring video, just remember that homework is not really so you can earn this 20%. I mean, sure, that's the little sort of carrot at the end of the stick, but it's really so that you fully understand the problems in the homework, so that this 80%, which is way more important, doesn't turn out badly for you. Okay, so I'll remind you of this, and this is sort of my standard updates when I'm emailing you guys, will be to sort of remind you to be careful and really invest yourself in the homework. Okay, sorry, that was the end of that rant, I promise. You will see some other things in the online homework system, which I'll show you when we get over there. There are a cajillion things in the in my stat lab that are allegedly there to help you learn and blah blah blah. You don't have to do any of that stuff. So there's lots of tests and quizzes and skill checks and all these other fancy bells and whistles. None of that is due or required for you to do, but of course, yes, you paid for it, so you're welcome to do and explore whatever you want in my stat lab, but none of it's required except the homework assignments, which I'll show you are very easy to find. There are due dates for the homework assignments. They're due on Sundays. Everything in our class is due on Sundays. There's 8 things due, 6 homework assignments, 2 exams, and they're all due on Sundays. And every Sunday has something due. So it's very easy to remind yourself of that. The homeworks are, if you don't complete the homework by the due date, you can still go in and work on it after the due date, but the homework system does assess a 20% per day penalty. So if you don't complete it by the due date, and you do it the next day or the next couple days, or if you complete half of it, and then complete the other half the next day, it's not that bad. What you don't want to do is start the homework a couple hours before it's due, realize you don't know how to do a lot of stuff, and then it's a few more days until you finally figure out how to do stuff. The best you're going to get is, an F on the homework assignment at that point. So give yourself plenty of time. Technology, as you all know, can be a little fickle, so please give yourself plenty of time to complete the work. And there are no extensions on homework. So you do, all of the due dates in this entire course are posted on day 1. So if you if you have a busy week or you're going on a trip or something like that, it's up to you to work ahead and not ask for extensions. They won't be granted. So, exams will be in Canvas and a similar format to the homework, even though the biggest difference, though, is that I've written the exams, whereas the textbook, has written the homework problems. But I think in general, it's a similar type of question, similar type of format. Um, they are timed exams. I believe it's a different amount of time for the midterm versus the final. So I'll just say see Canvas for how long, but you have a couple of hours at least to do these exams. Um, but you can use anything from class. Obviously, I can't really stop you from using notes or from using anything that's on Canvas. Now, one again, disclaimer, big disclaimer number two. I think you should study for an online exam like you're going to be taking the same that you would study for any exam. Whatever you've done in the past to study, making flashcards, whatever sorts of things you've done that are helpful. You don't really have to memorize things, right? I mean, because you can use your notes, but I think the best way to go into an exam is with a nice summarized version of your notes or of the lectures with sort of the finer points, the more important things highlighted, the maybe some example problems that are appropriately sort of dissected. Basically, that you've prepared for yourself a very nice summary of the material. And again, as I mentioned before when I was talking about doing homework problems, you can look through the homework problems that you did on paper. And when you see a similar problem, how great is that, right? You can just sort of look through the things that you did before to do it. So there's a lot of preparation. I think a lot of times people think, well, cool, this is a open notes exam, so I can just start it, and if I get stuck, I'll just look stuff up. That works a little bit, but since it's a timed exam, you really can't do that for more than a couple of things. So you really do want to study as you would for any other exam. Okay? And I'll just say this is a regular course, in an 8-week window. So you do have to put some some time into it. Maybe not every day, of course, but certainly every week. You'll need to dedicate at least 10 hours a week to the course. And that's on top of maybe some studying and whatnot for exams and taking of things. So, everybody's got their own schedules. I know you all have busy lives. And of course, if you're working during the day, as many of you are, the evenings are a great time. Maybe not every evening, but some evenings would be a good time to be able to work on the course. And of course, weekends are probably the time when many people choose to spend to do most of their coursework, and that's fine. That's sort of why I made things do Sunday night so that you'd have the weekend. It can be dangerous to rely on saying, okay, Sunday at 1 p.m. I'm going to start watching the videos for this week and complete that. I'm not saying you can't do it, but this is generally when you tend to maybe run out of time. So anyway, so just be smart about how you budget your time. Like I said, if you have events or other things going on, just plan ahead. You can take the exams anytime. So if you have something the week that we're doing the midterm, for example, and you're on a trip or something and aren't going to be able to take the exam that week, just take it the week before, and that's fine. So I think that's it for. Oh, if you do get extended time, please just send me an email and I can easily do that in Canvas. So, all right, so let me close this and just show you a few other things. So this is our Canvas page. Most of you hopefully have taken courses before where there is Canvas. So it's pretty user-friendly if you've never seen Canvas before. The way our course is organized, as you can see here, is in units or weeks, I guess is my labeling here, week 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Including the exams are here as well. And in each unit, maybe I'll highlight week 2 here, there's generally speaking 4 things. Announcements, which are mostly just sort of my things I'm going to probably send you in an email format anyway, that just say like, hi, good luck this week, and I don't know, whatever. Probably not all that important, but okay, read those, I guess. The video lectures, this is certainly important, so let me maybe click on that. The video lectures, as you can see, are right here. And these are YouTube videos. You can probably sort of recognize YouTube's famous play button, I guess. And there was, in many cases, more than one. This is actually, I think this is the most. So don't get too freaked out. There aren't usually 6 videos, but each of these is sort of short. And it says here, when you sort of arrow over or mouse over the video, it says it even when you don't do that. Which lecture, which section it is. So, for example, this is chapter 2, section 1, chapter 2, section 2, and so on and so on. You don't really need to align things with the book all that much, but if you happen to be a person that likes that, that's how the videos are sort of labeled. And the videos play. I can hit play on this. Maybe I'll hit mute so you don't hear me in 2 places at once. And the videos can play right here, which this is a reasonable size, I suppose. But if you'd like full screen, of course, you can hit full screen down here in the corner. Like I said, captions, you can turn captions on. Whatever, right? I don't have files for these, so I know some people ask, can I have a downloaded version, I guess, of these files? They're huge, so of course, like any video file, I don't know how long this video is only half an hour, but the video files are very large, so I don't really have something to give you that would have all the videos sort of already, downloaded. So if you do choose to download them in some format, that's obviously fine, but I leave that to you. So pause that. So video lectures. The third thing in each week are the slides. So as you probably could tell from that quick video, the videos are me voicing over slides, PowerPoint slides. So you don't need to look at the actual slides, but I know some people like to have the slides to maybe take notes on top of, or whatever you might want to do with them. So if you want the slides, they're there, and if you click on that, you'll get the slides that you can download that are under my videos. And the third thing, or the last thing, and this isn't really a thing, it's just sort of a link so I can put a grade in for you, is just sort of a statement of the homework that you're going to complete in my stat lab. So you're not doing any homework here. So I know this says chapter 2 homework, but there's nothing for you to do right here. There's nothing for you to submit or anything like that. This is just so that I can enter a grade for you in the grade book for your chapter 2 homework. Homework will be taken care of in my stat lab, which I'll click over to in just a second. Okay, so for each week, like I said, you see, and the due dates for the homework are here, and these are accurate. So September 17th, September 24th, and so on and so on. Okay, so the other thing I'll mention is that the exams are also here. There's a module for the midterm and another module at the very end here for the final. Each of them, as you can see, has just a thing for you to click on for some basically advice, I guess, or some instructions and details about what's covered on the exam, the format, my advice for you for studying, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So obviously, please read these when you're thinking about the exams. And then the other link that's right after these is the actual exam. So if I click on this, this will take you to the actual midterm exam. There's a little instructions here. These are mostly what I had written in the other place as well. And then when you're ready, I think maybe when you click on it, it says something a little bit different, but something like do the quiz or something like that will be here. Mine says preview since I'm the instructor, but and then you'll take the quiz right here. I can click preview since yours will look pretty much the same. And then here's the questions. Okay, question 1, blah, 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 blah. And you'll complete the questions right in here. You can sort of click around and do the questions in whatever order you want. There's a little clock here that counts down for you so you know how much time you have. Apparently it's 2 hours for the midterm. I think the final is 2.5 hours. Give you a little more time for that. And when you're finished, you're going to hit something like submit quiz at the bottom. You can jump around. You don't have to do the problems all at once, but there's a submit quiz at the very bottom that you'll use to do that. So again, pretty self-explanatory, I think, for those guys. Okay, so the last thing I'll just show you then is my stat lab. So first of all, how do you get my stat lab? So if you're here on Canvas, this first link is the syllabus that we went through. The second link here, I won't click on it because it's just a standard type document, is a PDF that gives you step-by-step instructions for how to purchase access to my stat lab. And my stat lab is where you're going to do all of your homework and where you're going to gain access to the ebook. So let me click on my stat lab. So you're going to follow this guide, I guess, for how to register. And once you register and log in, your screen will look roughly like this. And this is our course page in my stat lab. And there's a lot of stuff, and I don't know, it'd be nice if they just made simple things or just bare bones things, but of course there's a million things here, and you're going to click on almost none of these things. The couple things that you actually are going to click on, one, I think the course home has the homework assignments here, here, and here, and so on, but if you want to be on the safe side, if you click homework, you'll see all of the homework assignments are here, and the due dates are all here, and these are correct for the due dates. And if you want to do an assignment, you simply click on it. And the questions are sort of listed, I guess you would say here. I guess this assignment has 15 questions. And if you, I don't know why you'd be a weird person and would want to start on question 11, but you could if you wanted. But when you click on a question, it pops up a little window like this. And you're meant to, and here's your question, right? And here's the answers. And when you complete a question or when you make a guess, so when I clicked on B, for example, this will say either final check if you're only getting one guess. Now, this question only gives you one guess because there's only 3 options, so it doesn't want to totally make it too easy on you. So I guess you're only going to get one guess. Now, having said that, you can, if you get it wrong, ask for a similar question. Let me see if I get this. Okay, so I think that's wrong. So let me check this, which I think is wrong. Okay, so it tries to give you a little bit of a hint here. Now, oh, right, okay, good. So you can either say, all right, I want to go to the next question, or you can say, I want to try this question again. Now, if I don't, so maybe I'll say I do want to try it again. Okay, so I don't know. This is probably one example where I think this is literally the exact same question, maybe with the options switched around a little bit. Most of the questions are numerical, and so when you get a similar question, when you ask for another question, it's going to generally let you try the problem again, but the numbers will have changed, so don't necessarily always think, oh good, I can just guess a different option and hope I get it right. I think C is the right answer. Let me just double check. Okay, right, so if you get a question right, you get a point for that. So I'll show this to you here and say I've gotten 1 out of 15 problems complete. Okay, I think when I hit, maybe close that. Oh, right, and I've gotten 1 out of 15 points. So just like any other system, I don't think I really want to try this problem again. And then I can click here to go to the next problem. I think this also has a drop-down feature that lets you, if you want to click on problem 2, you can get to it that way, or you can just hit next, and so on and so on. Okay, maybe I'll just quickly show you one. Oh, and sorry, I shouldn't have done that so quickly. When you close a session, just double check, right? Or it should be the case that there's any problem that you've completed or submitted an answer to gets sort of remembered down here. Just double check. There's also like a save option I think it's in the upper right corner of the problems. Something like save my work or save answers or something. It's usually pretty idiot-proof that it's going to save them anyway. But what you can see here is say, oh, okay, cool. I did one question. I got it right. And I got 1 out of the 1 point that was possible for that question. And I could stop now. I could close this and come back tomorrow and do the rest of the problem. So it'll have remembered that I got this one right. So you don't have to redo the problems in that sense. If you go through the whole assignment and you've gotten some problems wrong, there'll be red marks, like red X's next to some of the questions. You can always, when you're finished with the assignment or at any point, come back into this menu and just click on the ones you got wrong, and you can still redo those questions, and it won't affect the questions you got right, but you will get points for them if you get them right the next time. So let me maybe just go back to homework and choose one that has numerical answers, hopefully. Okay, right. So this is a more typical type of question where the answer is going to be a number. So hopefully I don't just randomly guess this right. So I'll say 0.3. And I'll say check answer. Okay, and I got it wrong, not surprisingly, because I didn't actually think. And it gives you some advice. Okay, so you can say, okay, fine, fine, fine. I'm going to try the problem again. And hopefully I won't just do it randomly. I'll actually try something different. But let's just say again that I'm, not really being. I'll just guess a random number again, 0.15, and I can check again. And if it's right, it'll give me credit. But hopefully it's wrong. Okay, so it's still wrong. So it's good. I think this is the same advice. Now, if I try something again, notice how here it says final check. So I guess this, because of the nature of this problem, they let me have 3 chances. So this is my 3rd chance. So this is the last time it's going to check this. And I think, hopefully, my answer is still wrong. And if it's wrong, you've exhausted your options, um, it'll tell you the right answer. Now, of course, it doesn't give you a detailed explanation of how it got the right answer. But sometimes seeing the numerical right answer can be helpful in helping you unravel how to do it. Now, when this happens, you have 2 options. You can obviously just say, well, to hell with it, I'm going to go to the next question. Or you can ask for a similar question. And again, if I click on this, it's going to generate a new problem that has the numbers changed around a little bit. And it's going to let you try again. I guess it's probably going to give you 3 guesses yet again to try to get it right. So there's a lot of, I'll close this just to say no. I don't want a new question. But this is what I meant when I said save. For the most part, it auto saves, but if you're ever nervous about it, just hit save. Now, look at what happens when I now review this homework. Question 10, which was the one I clicked on, there's an X next to it, and it's saying you got 0 out of 1 point possible. So, because I got it wrong. Now, if I come in here, though, and let's say I got all the other questions right, and this is the only one I have wrong, I can just click on this one. And this was our, it saves your wrong answers, or your wrong answer. And but here in the lower right, you can ask for similar questions. So if I click on that, they changed the numbers a little bit. I don't know if you saw that. And it's going to let you try the problem all over again. Different numbers, so you still have to sort of go back and start over. But again, this will give me chances to get this problem hopefully correct. And once I get it correct, this will change from an X to a check. So, okay, anyway, it's hopefully the homework system is pretty self-explanatory, and as you get through it, you don't have to have the answers exactly right, but they have to at least be close. And it usually tries to tell you how many decimal places to keep in order to be accurate. So, the other thing I just wanted to show you, so homework, so that's where you'll do all of your homework is by clicking on this tab. The other thing that you'll click on sometimes, you have some sort of grade, something or other. I don't want to click on this because it'll show everybody's grades, but you have something that's keeping track of your grades. Now, you're going to get a grade for each homework assignment. Oh, it probably will just say it right here on your screens. Those I will eventually migrate over to Canvas so that I think it's okay for me to hit grades, that your grades will appear eventually in Canvas. So you don't have to worry about doing anything or telling me you completed the homework or anything. Your scores that will be here in my stat lab, I'll sort of usually wait a few days after each assignment is due, and then I'll transfer them over to Canvas. So Canvas you should think about as really the official grade book, because that'll also have your exam scores in there. Whereas in my stat lab, yes, it'll keep track of your scores, but don't worry if you see scores that are here that I haven't switched over to Canvas just yet. But if you do want to know what your score is, you can either do that by clicking on an assignment, which tells you your score. Oops, right there. Or that sort of summary window, I think, probably prints the scores as you complete the assignments. Okay, so, right. The other thing, though, that you will click on, especially for Chapter 1, is to actually get to the ebook. So I don't know why they didn't just put ebook on the side here as an option. Instead, you're going to click on this chapter contents. So if you do that, so click on that, and obviously the chapters are here. Chapter 1, which is for the first assignment. The sections are also here. So if you click on section 1 and section 2 and section 3, I think there's only 3 sections. If you click on this, you'll get the ebook, so the e-text as they call it. So if you click on this, you get a pop-up window with the actual textbook for you to read. Now, there are videos in every unit. These are not my videos. These are videos that the book publisher created. Again, you're welcome to watch them if you'd like, but there's no expectation that you do. And again, they've got lots of fancy things for you to work on There's something called a study plan, whatever the heck that is. Within each chapter, there are homework assignments. Again, these aren't my homework assignments. These are the homework assignments that came with the book. Quizzes and tests, again, those are the ones that came with the book. None of this is expected that you're going to do it. The only place where you're going to look for homework assignments is on the homework tab. Whoops, which I've lost now. Here it is, right? So these are the homework assignments that you have to do, and that's the only thing that's required. But yes, feel free to do other things if you want in each chapter. Okay, so and it's a little bit weird that that's how you get to reading the ebook, and that, I don't know. I'm sure they have their reasons for why it's like that. But so click on the section, click on chapter contents, click on the chapter, click on the section, and then click on e-text here, and the textbook will pop open for you to read. Chapter 1 is the only chapter that I'm requiring you to read the ebook. We will do chapters 1, 2, 5, and I believe it's 8 or 9, I forget. The chapters that we skip, I sort of more or less cover in the lecture videos, or they aren't that important. Oh, did I say 6? Sorry. 1, 2, 5, 6, and 9, I think, are the chapters that we do. Which anyway, chapter 1 is the only one that I'm really requiring you to read the ebook because there's no lecture video for chapter 1. So if I flip back over here to Canvas, this video is the video that's here. And as you see, it says, and reading assignment. So I'm going to ask you to read the ebook for chapter 1 and do the homework for chapter 1 here in my stat lab. So read chapter 1, the 3 sections of chapter 1. You don't have to read all the other stuff that's in chapter 1. And then come here to homework and do the homework for chapter 1. For all the other units, which obviously do have homework assignments, you're going to be able to just watch the videos that I've prepared here in Canvas. Okay, so week 1, and the reason is just that, the intro, week 1 is just sort of an intro to what are statistics all about. And it's just easier to read the book, to be honest, than watching a video of me basically reading you the book. So don't worry about, you don't have to read the book for any of the other chapters from week 2 on. I've done everything you need in the video lectures. Okay? But you're welcome to use the book if you do want some extra advice. Okay? So that's, I think, the overview of everything I wanted to show you. So you're ready to go. The chapter 1 homework is... oh, I didn't put a due date. Oh, it's here. Is due on September 10th at 11 p.m. So you should be able to knock this out reasonably quickly. The first unit, like I said, is just an intro. The second unit really begins actual how to use data and how to compute things. There's a lot of Excel stuff in this unit. The third unit gets us sort of ready for the second half of the semester, which is some more Excel commands that we are going to need. And then you'll take a midterm, which is on the first 3 units, or first 3 weeks. And then the second half of the course is harder. Week 5 and week 6 in particular are, I think, the hardest things that we do. So leave yourself some time. Again, some people are pretty successful about working ahead, and rather than waiting until October 1st, which is the due date for the midterm, it wouldn't be a bad idea to finish that, a week earlier, let's say, and leave yourself extra time to do the harder units. But anyway, I leave that to your discretion. And then we finish with a unit on regression. And then you'll be ready for the final, which is mostly the second half material. So mostly the second group of 3 units. So anyway, so that's the overview. You're ready to go. So buy access to my stat lab by following these instructions, and you're good to go. And just again, every Sunday, if you just sort of remind yourself, every Sunday you have something due. That's probably the easiest way to not fall behind. And send me an email if you have any questions. You're free to work at your own pace. You're free to complete this entire course in 1 week if you really, really want to. And I have had students who are finished with the whole course in maybe 2 weeks, and then they can work on whatever else other courses they're taking or whatever, and it's not a bad situation. So, but send me an email if you have any questions, and good luck.